Center. Appreciate you tuning in, and obviously excited to have former Governor Lincoln Chafee on today. Governor made some news this weekend, raising the issues about the subsidies being given to Wexford on the 195 land. Somewhere in the range, Governor, of $40–50 million in subsidies. I think everybody's trying to track down the actual numbers and all the components to this deal. Talk a little bit about why you're concerned about this.
Well, I'd like to see some studies that show that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Because the studies that I've seen show that these public subsidies don't work. And the most recent one that I saw was from the New York Times, did a three-part series, a three-day series studying it. Right. And at the conclusion of it, they said they're foolhardy, senseless, and short-sighted. And here we are this afternoon over at Commerce Corporation this Monday, going to vote for $40–50 million on something that's foolhardy, short-sighted, and senseless, according to the New York Times, and every other study that I've seen. They just don't work, these subsidies. You're better off investing in your schools, what government does well, your roads, your bridges, your schools, that type of thing.
I'm going to say you've been very consistent on this. Obviously, 38 studios, you adamantly were opposed to it, and then when that fell apart, you were very aggressive in recovering the funds from it. I think you've gotten a lot of credit for doing that. Let me play devil's advocate a little bit. Listen, the federal government and the state government with its match probably spent $700–900 million moving 195. I think it started under John Chafee in the United States Senate, and while you were in the United States Senate, and that land got cleared, the environmental issues got cleaned up, and it's been dormant. I mean, there has not been a lot of activities there. Do you get any credit, do you say, well, listen, we got to do something to spark this thing? Private investors are not exactly knocking down the door. What do you do about kind of kick-starting this project?
Well, I hear you. You don't like to see it lay dormant after all that investment to move the old 195, and there the land is ready to go. But you can't panic.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, we hit the crash of 08, 09, and it continued on for 5, 6, 7 years now. But don't panic. Go down the slippery slope of pursuing a strategy that, according to the New York Times and all the studies that I see, that's foolhardy, short-sighted, and senseless. These subsidies don't work, and it's a lot of money. You're talking $50 million of our tax dollars going towards this Wexford project here in the 195 line. I'd rather be patient and just do it right. The companies will come. They will come if you just lay the proper groundwork.
Well, and also Kate Nagel's done some good journalism on this, raising the issues of exactly what are we investing $50 million in. There's only two tenants that have been identified. One of them is Brown University moving 85 jobs down the hill, and we don't know what rent they're paying for that. And then the second one is for Cambridge Innovation Center, that's been very successful up in Cambridge, but Providence isn't Cambridge, and that's kind of the culmination of Harvard and MIT and about 100 venture capitalists and private equity groups coming together. I'm not sure anybody's going to bet their allowance on the success of creating an innovation center of that size and scope. Is there a better way to encourage a business to come in? You had some successes in retaining some businesses and bringing some businesses in. Talk about how you approach those.
Well, when I was mayor, this is a great story that is relevant to what's happening at the Commerce Corporation this afternoon with all that money, $50 million, whatever the number is, going out the door to attract these companies. A company came to the mayor's office when I was in Warwick and sat at the table and said, we want to build a corporate headquarters here. We'll employ about 200 people, is my recollection. What can you do in incentives? And I said, we don't do that here in Warwick. We treat everybody the same. There's companies that have been here for many years, paying their taxes loyally. We just don't do that. Click, click went the briefcases. Out the door they went, and we were left looking at each other. Boy, did we just blow a big opportunity. It's certainly going to make me look good in the election. I bought a big company here. But I thought, no, I just don't want to go down that slippery slope. A month later, they were back. Came in the mayor's office, said, we like the way you do business in the city of Warwick. We don't want special deals. Let's make a deal going around us. We're going to build our corporate headquarters here in your city. And it's Beacon Mutual, and they're there today.
Not a bad
good company, good jobs. Those are good jobs. And so there's a very illustrative lesson. And then as governor, Jim Bennett here from the capital city of Providence said, we have a company called Samulia,
Yeah.
And I think we're going to lose them, move out of Providence and move out of state. He said, let's go to the parent company in Paris, France, and talk to the CEO. We set it up. We did it. We flew coach. We went one night, one day, spent one night, met with the CEO.
Gee, it's fun working with you in the governor's office, huh? One day,
it wasn't
one
fun
night,
sitting in the one day over, one day back. Spent one night there, but we had a good meeting with the CEO of the parent company, Dassault, and that company just grew. They decided to stay based on that visit. And now they're in the old FM Global corporate headquarters in Johnson. We couldn't keep them in Providence. Of course, Jim wanted them to stay in Providence. We kept them in Rhode Island, though. And I think they're up to 300 employees. All good jobs. No incentives.
Right.
I mean, maybe some little ones that help them when they're moving or some of those things. But none of these big $50 million
Well, it's interesting.
extravaganzas.
You talk about education. The governor's been very adamant about trying to improve schools, i.e. through reducing college debt for families, and not to get belabored in the pros and cons of that. The governor's on, I think, next Monday to talk about her college plan. But her point is being, listen, we need to have a good workforce here, and is that the better? Is she right in that way that the incentives really should be on building a better education system?
Yes, that's what the New York Times study did say.
Yeah.
Education, and if you can keep tuitions down, that's a winner.
Right.
And that's what the study said. Or investing in infrastructure, you mentioned moving 195, that type of thing.
Sure.
Down in Warwick, we connected the railroad tracks with the airport. That's an expensive project that will pay off in economic growth down the road. So those are worthwhile investments. And the study, as I said, backed that up.
So you sent a letter this weekend, just to get back to this Wexford deal, over to the members of the Commerce Corporation Board. Some of those are your former appointees to that body. What do you expect them to do this afternoon? They're meeting in about an hour to vote on an additional, I think it's $13 million. The numbers are a little sketchy right now. Our news editor, Kate Nagel, will be over there reporting from there. But what's your hope that that board, is that a done deal? I
assume it's a done deal. That's a done deal, Josh. But my hope would be that at least they'd ask good questions.
Yeah.
I included the full editorial from the New York Times, which thank you for putting up on Go Local's site. The full editorial is just, you can't read it without getting angry that this is about to happen with our tax dollars. And so I would hope they'd ask good questions. And the biggest question would be, show me another study that refutes what Chafee just sent me.
Right.
Come on, Governor Raimondo, show me another study to give me something to hang my hat on.
So are we just in this, listen, I'm a Rhode Island small business owner, and there's some big Rhode Island companies that have grown naturally. Isn't there going to be an incentive? Listen, if I built a company here, don't I want to go over and knock on the door of Commerce and say, kind of, where's my fair share? Shouldn't I get this tax credit for hiring? Shouldn't I get subsidies for this, that, or the other thing? Where does it stop, and do you really just create functionally a two-tier system of companies in Rhode Island?
Well, that's exactly the issue, and I call it a slippery slope. Of course, why wouldn't the other companies come in?
Sure.
Why are you shoveling the candy out the storefront to a competitor of mine?
Right.
I've been here for 40 years.
Right.
Adhering to all the rules.
Yeah.
Paying my
right.
taxes, which no one likes to do, and all the fees to go with it. Now someone just moved in and got a free ride.
Before you came on, we were talking in the green room, and you mentioned the fact of a story that Go Local had broken last week or the week before about Blue Cross Blue Shield kind of changing up the deal. They'd agreed to bring their 3 buildings together in exchange for a huge tax stabilization to build the tower over at Water Place. Corresponding to that, they said they would grow their jobs, and in fact, investigative piece we did found that they are actually moving jobs out. It'll be, I think, the third floor that will be now leased out to other companies, and you also mentioned, former Mayor Paolino kind of crying foul on this. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I heard him say that as a real estate owner here in Providence, he's going to be undercut because we, the taxpayers, have subsidized Blue Cross, and now Blue Cross is going to be renting out space, which Mayor Paolino competes on, at $4 a square foot less, because we, the taxpayers, that's subsidizing Blue Cross. It's just not fair. And he said They used to be in the healthcare business. They're going into the real estate business,
right.
and they're no dummies.
Yeah, right. Well, raises questions. We've heard from folks. It raises questions about their charitable status. That if they start, where a significant portion of their revenue starts coming in through leasing out property, and as you remember, probably 10 years ago, Lifespan got into trouble building properties, leasing them out as almost for-profit entities, and then not paying the property tax on them. But what's the recourse for the city of Providence? Is it realistic for them to pull the plug on a tax stabilization and hold them accountable on something like this?
Well, that's, again, the slippery slope, the same issue.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Right.
Once you're stuck and they have you over the barrel. And that's exactly what's happening here. They're not living up to the deal. And I heard that the Providence City Council is going to have hearings. And so
yeah, they're going to look at it.
They'll have to make that decision.
Absolutely.
What do we do now?
Right. So obviously,
but it's all relevant to what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today.
So all this, of course, your activism as a former governor, raises the question as to what's next in the future. You were on with Kate a couple months ago over here, and you said never say never kind of thing. Are we closer to ever say ever rather than never say never?
No, these are big ticket items that we're talking about. I'm a taxpayer. I'm talking about hedge funds. $500 million we've lost in hedge fund investments.
Yeah.
Here goes $50 million out the door here today. It'll add up to 50 eventually, 40,
yeah.
50, whatever. So
yeah, whatever the
as a taxpayer, that's my concern right now.
Great, we appreciate it, Governor. Thanks so much for coming on, and we enjoy your watchdog enthusiasm, and there's you always seem to be right on these things over the history of the past 20 years, and look forward to hearing more from you and appreciate it.
I pride myself on being very frugal. My own money with taxpayers' money.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.